What's up, everybody? I'm the Mangoose. You are awesome, and it's a new year, so I think it's about time to go over what's been going on with all the games I track. I haven't done one of these in a while, so some of these games have a great deal of information to go over, so I'll just try to kind of summarize as much as possible and only hit the most significant updates. I'll have each game timestamp below so you can zerp right to the one you want. The ever-growing list of games includes Vault, Predecessor, Core, Overprime, Ethereal, Project Stamina, Revenblade, Kingshunt, and Phoenix Rising. I will say right off the top that the one question that looms most important in the minds of many still has no firm answer. That question is, of course, when are they coming to PlayStation? I'm very sorry, but I simply do not know. While most of these companies have stated that they plan to release on the PlayStation Network, I'm not going to get anyone's hopes up unless I have concrete proof and a timeline. Today I'll cover any major updates that have occurred since the last time I did one of these. We'll go over the game's current roster of playable heroes, and I'll let you know how accessible the game is, basically if and when you can play the game. I'll also throw my own 2 cents in as far as what I think of each title. If you enjoy the video and find it informative, please do me a favor and hit that like button. Now, let's get to it. Vault is a third-person MOBA developed by Strange Matter Studios that features the free assets released by Epic to create a spiritual successor to Paragon, while still attempting to maintain a very separate identity to its predecessor. No pun intended. Vault is currently in paid early access via Steam. If you have the cash, you can pick this one up and play it right now. Vault has been adding many new heroes to their pool since the last time I did an update for them. They've added Gadget, Grux, Kalari, Decker, Grim, Morgash, and most importantly, Richter. This brings the total to 21 playable heroes. So they now have Boris, Countess, Decker, Gadget, Gideon, Greystone, Grim, Grux, Kalari, Chimera, Kong, Lieutenant Bellica, Morgash, Murdoch, Muriel, Narbash, Richter, Severog, Sparrow, Steel, and Twin Blast. Along with the new heroes, they've also implemented some new systems such as jump pads being disabled after the first tower goes down, but also added a movement speed boost when leaving the fountain after 20 minutes of game time have elapsed. Quick correction here, the jump pads will just always go down after 20 minutes, it doesn't depend on the towers, and then you always get that speed boost after the 20 minutes. They added a new purple aspect that rewards players for destroying wards and increases damage against solo enemies. They created a Learn tab that allows you to view abilities and items without having to be in a match, and they overhauled the item shop to offer more build versatility by allowing tier 1 items to build into a larger variety of tier 3 items. I really haven't been playing Vault much. The introduction of Richter certainly brought me back, but due to the season pass system they have, I had to wait a week to play him, which kinda sucked. I also kinda sucked when playing him. You've been seeing my second game as Rick after I finally figured out how to target the hook. The first one was just god-awful. While Vault continues to lead the way in para-zombie development, I tend to shy away from it. Some decisions in the game confuse me, like the whole movement speed after 20 minutes thing. I just get why so much thought was put into that, but when they release a snow map, they keep your targeting reticle white so you never know where you're aiming. Strange Matter is trying some pretty grand things with Vault, but I think they should probably just pay a bit more attention to the easy-to-fix details of what they currently have. If you're looking for an overhauled version of Paragon, or you simply just missed some of the favorite heroes, I would suggest picking this one up if you have the extra 20 bucks. They've implemented some pretty inventive systems that add to the Paragon experience. Predecessor is a third-person MOBA in development by Omega Studios that seeks to make a spiritual successor to Paragon that stays a bit more true to that game while still implementing some fixes. Predecessor has only been playable via a few alpha test runs and only for those lucky enough to get a key for the game. They have added Steel and Lieutenant Bellica to their roster. They now have Muriel, Narbash, Gideon, Gadget, Lieutenant Bellica, Severog, Fing Meow, Steel, Chimera, Sparrow, and Murdoch. The biggest news from them since the last alpha test is that they received a grant from Epic Games via the Mega Grant system. So far, they've been working with almost no funding, the only exception being stream donations to help pay for the server costs. They've accomplished a great deal without any money, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with a little bit of funding. And yes, I am well aware of how ironic it is that Epic is helping fund a game that is a spiritual remake of the game they defunded. I've had a lot of fun with Predecessor. The problem I see with many of the para-zombies is that playing an unfinished Paragon hero when you're used to the fully polished version causes a weird disconnect in your brain and it leaves you unsatisfied. Predecessor has come the closest to eliminating that disconnect so far, so I personally find it to be the most enjoyable. Unfortunately, they also have the smallest hero lineup and not everyone can play. Overprime is a third-person MOBA in development by Team Souleve that uses the free Epic assets to create a spiritual successor to Paragon that offers the player a variety of options. I do need to say from the top that I don't have the newest footage of Overprime. What you see here is like several months old. Overprime has by far the largest selection of heroes with a roster that includes Lieutenant Bellica, Murdoch, Gideon, Twin Blast, Kwang, Countess, Fing Miao, The Fae, Rampage, Kalari, Sparrow, Narbash, Greystone, Chimera, Muriel, Sevarog, Howitzer, Seraph, Grim, Boris, Shinbi, Grux, and Gadget. The game is available to everyone via peer-to-peer network, however their servers are currently closed. And that's the biggest news from Overprime, is that they closed their servers in anticipation of polishing their product to get it ready for launch. While they had originally planned on completely closing the game down until all preparations were made, they opened peer-to-peer play back up due to fan requests. While most people sleep on Overprime, the game has a great deal to offer. They give you the choice between a monolith or legacy style map, they've brought back the Prime Dunk mechanic, and of course they have a ton of heroes to play. From what I hear, they've already started to fix many of the issues that they had, like wonky animations and projectiles coming from the camera instead of the hero. They seemed intent on adding as much unpolished content as possible, but are now taking a step back to clean everything up, which is that is welcome news. I think Overprime will be a real contender when they launch on Steam, as the main drawback to this game is the odd and, for some reason, insanely slow download of the peer-to-peer client. That's why I don't have new footage. It took me a full day to download the client, and then when I tried to load it, something didn't work right, and I just said fuck it. Look for Overprime to make some big waves in the community, but probably only after they get it on Steam. Ethereal is a very ambitious third-person MOBA in development by Undying Games that uses their own intellectual property to build a brand new world to play in. While they have several myths designed for the game, they plan to test and implement them in stages throughout the pre-alpha. The initial 7 that will be playable are Talos, Dante, Leah, Marina, Noxus, Aran, and Malaya. Ethereal currently isn't playable. They plan to have a paid early access for their alpha early this year, and while there has recently been a ton of news about this game, the biggest thing we've seen from them was a demo that they created for the Extra Life charity stream. The footage you see now is from that stream, however, I don't really count this as full gameplay. They put this demo together in about a week and a half, so there's only one myth to play, which is Dante, and they had to use some placeholder minions. The lane itself was also created just for the demo. The actual map will look very different. Undying also revealed that they will no longer go with their initial plan to have the lanes float directly on top of each other. They will still be separated and positioned at different altitudes, but the map will more closely resemble a standard MOBA map. I've made it no secret that this game is the one I personally look forward to the most, and the Extra Life demo renewed my faith in Undying Games. The quality displayed in what was essentially a rushed demo was outstanding, and above all else, it was fun. I have faith that they can actually pull off their 6v6 gameplay, flying heroes, multi-class minions, and the multitude of other interesting ideas that they'll bring to the MOBA genre. I only addressed the biggest updates for Ethereal in this video, but if you're interested in learning more about what's been going on with the game, check out the podcast I do with Jelly Knees called Enter the Ether, where we discuss all things Ethereal. Jelly Knees also has several great videos that cover each one of their updates in depth, so be sure to drop him a sub if you're interested in this game. Project Stamina seeks to create a spiritual successor to Gigantic using their own intellectual property, since the Motiga assets were never publicly released like Epic did with the Paragon assets. The game is a different take on the third-person MOBA that's kind of hard to explain unless you've played Gigantic. They currently have not yet revealed the name of the game. The footage you see here is from a very basic pre-alpha version of the game that I was allowed to playtest. Their roster includes completely new heroes. You can look forward to Matani, R4-Bit, Kira, Geist, Akka, and Cake. Cake is an acronym that stands for Community Architected Kit Experiment. They haven't named it yet. Project Stamina has allowed patrons and sometimes the larger community to vote on various aspects of a hero, essentially allowing their fans to create a character. Unfortunately, the alpha for this game has been delayed as there were some difficulties associated with the latest update to the Unreal Engine. Fortunately, they were able to port the game to the new version pretty quickly. Something they did that I love is that they gave us an outline of what could possibly hold back the alpha with 3 different scenarios explaining why each scenario may either slow down or speed up the alpha release. It's just nice to have some sort of barometer to gauge our anticipation against, and it's really cool to have this much transparency with their leadership. While there really aren't any major updates to share, the project is still progressing and improving. While I never got to play Gigantic, I'm still extremely happy that I stumbled upon Project Stamina. The very early playtest I did was some of the most fun I've ever had gaming, so I can't even imagine how awesome the final product is going to be. They've been able to use money received via Patreon to pay their lead 3D artist so that he could put more hours into the game. They continue to improve their infrastructure and add new features, and learn from some of the people that worked on Gigantic. Project Stamina shares very detailed updates about their game, with the best source being their Discord, so I highly suggest you check that out if you're interested in this game. Links below. Kingshunt is kind of a genre-breaking game in development by Vaki. It combines elements of a MOBA with tower defense strategy and Dark Souls-like combat. The game has only been available in short pre-alpha test intervals with signups conducted through Steam. The current playable roster includes the Knight, which is a tank, Enchantress, who is a mage, the Demigod, that's a bruiser, and Legina, who is a healer. The biggest news from Kingshunt was the open alpha test weekend that they hosted. I had a great deal of fun playing Kingshunt. I was a bit apprehensive going into it as to how such an odd mix of genres would work, but the end result was a highly strategic game that was enhanced by fast-paced tactical combat. Vaki also received a grant from Epic and have put that money to good use. I highly suggest you keep tabs on Kingshunt and try to get into the next alpha test. If you can keep an open mind and not treat this game like a straight up MOBA, you'll have a good time with it. Revenblade is a third-person point capture brawler in production by Medallion Slate. While the servers aren't always open, they do have regularly scheduled playtests that are open for free to everyone. All you have to do is keep tabs on their Discord to find out when the playtests will be. Revenblade has not yet named their heroes, but they have a tank, mage, assassin, archer, warrior, fighter, and healer. Medallion Slate is a very small company, but have still provided constant updates to the game based on player feedback. Not only are there adjustments to the kits, but they have introduced an entire new map as well as making changes to the overall game mode. Revenblade is designed to be a competitive game that consumes a minimal amount of resources. While I've been slacking lately, I usually try to make it to their Wednesday night playtest because this game is super fun. A fast-paced game with deceptively deep kits, extremely well thought out map structure, and a design that encourages teamwork. Revenblade is a game that I highly encourage everyone to at least try, especially since it's free and you don't need a supercomputer to give it a go. Phoenix Rising is a third-person MOBA in development by Visionary Games that seeks to be a spiritual successor to Paragon. Visionary was the first company that started attempting to create a successor to Paragon and decided early on to use their own intellectual property. The game currently isn't available in any form, and we don't know anything about the planned roster. There hasn't been any updates for Phoenix Rising in years. However, I do keep tabs on them and the game is still in production. Visionary is a group of great people that we owe a debt of gratitude for keeping the Paragon spark alive. I'm ride or die with Phoenix Rising, and I will continue to reach out to them and cover them in these videos whenever there's some updates for them. Core is a third-person MOBA in development by MetaBuff that uses their own intellectual property to create a spiritual successor to Paragon. The game currently isn't available and nothing is really known about the roster. The fact that Core is no longer using the free Epic assets was the biggest announcement for this game. Unfortunately, I don't know much about the new Core, so I can't really relay much information about it. That's all the info I have for you guys for now. That's a lot of games that I've been tracking, and with my schedule, there's no way I can play all of them all the time. I know many of you rely on my update videos, but I'm really going to have to start cutting a few of these games out if I want to retain my sanity. I'll do my best to do one of these monthly, but if a certain game doesn't have anything major to announce, I'll just exclude them. I hope you enjoyed the video, but for now, this is the Man Goose signing off. You guys, have a good one. Man Goose!